So I have here a bunch of 5 and 8 quarter sapele that I picked up from my regular lumber yard, as well as this 12 quarter beast of African mahogany that I've had sitting in the basement for 6 or 7 years. Never really had any clear idea what to do with it, but I've got just over 84 inches here, which is barely enough for the base that I've got in mind for this table. So I think this is the time. Holy, this is heavy. After wrestling this thing onto the miter station, it's time to see if the saw's motor is going to have anything to say about the task I'm asking of it. I'm doing this in multiple passes, both for my safety and that of the saw motor. No complaints. Now it's time to measure out and break down the boards for the top. I'm flattening one face on the jointer, and then onto the planer for the opposite sides, both for our top and base materials. Once surfaced, we can rip down final widths for the top boards. And push the table saw's limits on that beefy base stock. So we've gone through our first phase of milling. Everything is dimensioned roughly. And as I was getting this first board for the top in particular through the table saw, I was noticing a lot of tension in the board, and it really wanted to bind on the blade. So laying things out here, I'm seeing it's taken on a bit of a bow. There's a little bit more of a gap than I would want to try and force close in clamps. So I think I'm going to bring this one back to the jointer. Clamps now off, I can start milling up stretchers and cutting in the base joinery. I contemplated cutting the big joinery on the bandsaw, but my best big blade broke and I didn't trust the others to stay true here. So, it's time for sketchy table saw cuts. This was scary. And messy. I clamped in some extra support after the first cut to help keep the slabs from wanting to rotate sideways on the blade, which would have been a very ugly kickback situation. A quick test fit, and it's a table base. I want to add a rounded face to the base, a little less harsh of a profile. I'm using another sketchy table saw cut to hog off a good starting chunk, and then I'll plane down to my line. This is going great. It isn't fast, really, but it is fun. Right up until it isn't. Ooh. This side is nasty. African mahogany subsets are known for interlocked grain, which makes edge tools a bit of a bad gamble. So I'm going an alternate route here, the rasp. If you've ever had a teething puppy go to town on your furniture, you know what this thing is about. It's coarse and crude and effective. Straight grain, interlocked grain, concrete, it cares not. It just chews right through. Watch your hands, by the way. I alternate between the two cutting faces and a finer rasp to refine the profile, over and over, working towards the final line. Once there, I sand clean, and we can move on to adding a light round over with the router. Here I'm shimming in a sliver of material to hide this one joint that got a little gappy after sanding. I'll fill the top with sawdust and shellac. Speaking of, I'm sealing the base here with a de-waxed shellac. It looks blotchy and streaky here, but that's fine. I'll be sanding it down before applying Waterlox varnish, which looks nothing short of radiant. With the track saw, I'm adding in a chamfer to the top. completing the profile with a round over up top. A little more hatch chili queso and this thing is ready to shine, which is good because it's been a gorgeous spring and the family is ready for dinner on the porch. I often say that tables are my favorite thing to make because they're the center of gravity for so much of our lives. Meals, conversations, comfortable silences, this is where they happen.